Hey everyone, Kathy the Vegan Prepper here, and today I thought I would share with you kind of where is my head right now in everything going on in the world, and what am I thinking of as far as our next steps for our personal family preparedness. So let's go ahead and get into it. Do-do-do, do-do-do, vegan prepper. Do-do-do, do-do-do, vegan prepper. All right, so let's go ahead and talk through some of my thinking process. We're going to brainstorm, we're going to discuss a little bit about where we're heading. And I don't know if listening to somebody else kind of work through what they're thinking will help you, but if so, then go ahead and stick with me. I will say just at the very beginning, if you're extremely brand new to prepping and you're kind of thinking like, where do I even start? I do have a video, it's about 45 minutes long, I'll link it down below, discussing how I prioritize my preps, especially on a budget. And it is not me just like jawing, it's a very focused video, and it just takes about 45 minutes to cover the whole topic. But I've gotten some good feedback on that video, and I think it is helpful. So I'm going to link it down below. If you have never prepped at all, go there so that you can kind of figure out where to even begin. I like to think that I've broken it down into small, non-overwhelming, actionable steps, which is it's exactly what I needed to do, because I have talked on the channel a lot. I have ADHD, and it's very easy for me to get overwhelmed when I get like kind of too many things, and I end up with decision paralysis. If there's too many options, I don't know where to go. So kind of as a coping mechanism for myself, I have learned how to take huge amounts of information and disseminate them down into kind of the number one focus and action item that I need to do. So hopefully that video will be helpful to you, especially if you deal with similar feelings of overwhelm, if you have too much going on. But kind of moving forward, basically, where is my head at? Where is my head? Sorry, my grandmother hates that. She hates it when people say, where is it at? Where's my head at? Like, she doesn't like that. So she's a little bit of grammar police. And so every time I catch myself saying at, I'm like, sorry, Nanny, I didn't mean to. But anyway, where is my head right now? And just with what's going on in the world, obviously rising food prices, rising gas prices, shenanigans. Did we see the 4 horsemen over the hill yet? I'm not sure, but if we do, honestly, then I'd be like, oh, finally, because like I'd be good. But yeah, like everything going on in the world, but also kind of what is going on in our lives, our personal lives. Like, cause like even with kind of, you have like global scale stuff going on, but honestly, I'm still looking at what's going on in our lives moving forward. Like I have, again, kind of discussed many times, we have not quite a seasonal income, but we live in central Arizona. And so our summer is our super hot season. And then that is our not very busy season. Like not very many people are coming here, like tourist wise, in the super hot months. In fact, tons of people just pack up and move. We've got snowbirds who live elsewhere in the hot months and then come here and just come here for winter. And so during the winter kind of and fall and spring, like our cooler months, we end up having a lot more income. There's just a lot more business coming through. And so my husband's job is structured in such a way that he gets paid kind of, a lot of it is like bonuses and kind of based on the business that they do. And so in summer, we have a very lean time. And so that's kind of typical for us. It's typical for many people around here. And so not only do we have a reduction in our income in summertime, our power bill, which is it's our biggest bill besides groceries during summer, it goes from being about $70 in the cooler months to being over $350 in the hot months. So it's a massive increase in our energy costs, while at the same time we have a reduction in our income. And that's just sort of a lot of there's many other little things going on like summer wise, but that and the water bill increases, but it's very slight, because obviously I work really hard, and I'm looking because my garden's right there. I work really hard at using as little water as possible in our garden, but even still, we do have to use a little more water in the summer. And so, but that's little. But anyway, the main things are the increase in the energy and the decrease in the income. And then also summer activities and keeping our kids happy. And so anyway, summer's not like, it's a lean time. We always have enough, praise God, he provides all the time, but We have to be really smart. We have to be wise. We have to be good stewards, especially in summer. We have to really be careful and focus on that. So that's kind of my main, like, personal focus moving ahead. Also keeping in mind rising fuel costs, rising food costs, all of that stuff. So again, where is my head right now? Well, honestly, it's everywhere, all of the time. Hashtag ADHD. But basically moving forward, also kind of considering some of the major shortages that I have heard about. So for instance, wheat is a big one. Everybody's like expecting that wheat shortages are going to be a huge deal. Between crop failures and crop issues, and then the fact that many farmers are not able to get fertilizer right now with the conflict in Ukraine. And so it's something that we might be seeing more of in the future. I am definitely thinking I've got to get a little bit more wheat in this house, even though I have quite a large stash of wheat berries. Although it appears large, obviously, if we had to use that every single day for all of our breads and everything, then it would disappear probably much faster than I think it would. So for me personally, I have focused a lot on storing wheat berries rather than wheat flour, because we use whole wheat for the most part. And whole wheat berries will last anywhere from 20 to 30 years when stored correctly, no oxygen, in a good temperature. Whereas whole wheat flour already milled is usually only about 6 months, if I'm remembering correctly, maybe like 6 months to a year. And so for the most part, I have focused on storing a lot of wheat berries because I have a wheat grinder. Although it isn't necessarily 100% necessary to have a wheat grinder in order to store wheat berries, because you can cook them and eat them almost like a grain, and it reminds me a lot of barley. It's actually kind of yummy. I have a video where we did that. I'll link that down below, where we just like cooked the whole wheat berries and ate them. But moving forward, I am going to go ahead and get myself another 50-pound bag of whole wheat flour. I have that in my Azure standard order, and hopefully it will still be there. I had another 50-pound bag of the hard red wheat berries, but those are gone, so that's not a surprise. I have switched over to spelt. I've added spelt to the order instead, and we'll see if we end up getting that. And so I think a lot of times too, looking at certain things being a shortage, if we can get like creative about the way that we get those items, sometimes you might not be able to get the standard, wheat that you normally get, but maybe you could switch to a different grain or something like that. Like when nobody had rice anywhere, like kind of in the pandemic, we could still get barley, for instance. So we like switched over to barley. We really love barley in our soups and all of that. So sometimes it takes just a little bit of creative thinking surrounding some of those things. And so definitely that I'm going to be focusing on making sure that we have wheat and flour for our breads and all of that. Also, coffee apparently is something that we're also looking at potentially being in shortage. So for us, well, here, just a second, let me show you. For us, we don't actually drink a lot of coffee anymore. We've basically quit caffeine. And so although I gotta say just this morning, it's funny, just this morning, I had a coffee, it was half decaf, half regular. I put 1 teaspoon of instant coffee into a hot drink this morning because this morning I was kind of dragging. It's been a really long week. And so it's been weeks since I've had caffeine. So with that 1 teaspoon, I'm like I'm buzzing. And so we quit caffeine, and I think that's a huge thing. I have a video all about us quitting caffeine, and I'm like, I guess I'll link that below too. I'm making a lot of work for future me editing this video, by the way. Every single time I say I'm gonna link that down below, I have to watch this and remember. But basically I just get this at Costco. It's very inexpensive. It's not organic. I wish it was, but this is what we do because instant coffee is a forever food in its freeze-dried form. I've just been picking up one of these almost every time I go to Costco. It does have an expiration date on it, but it's a forever food. And so we have 2 or 3 of these on hand, but I'm just going to keep on getting a couple of these moving forward to make sure that we have it on hand, because like I said, it's one of those things that it's just too wonderful when you don't do it every day. And then it takes also a huge amount of discipline to not do it every day. Once you've done it once and you feel the effects, you want to keep doing it. So I have a personal rule that I will not do caffeine 2 days in a row because I don't want to re-addict myself, because I went through all of the work to get unaddicted from it. And so now it doesn't use me, I use it. And so that's what I want in my life, but it is just too wonderful. But my son is the main one. My 21-year-old, he has coffee every single day. So he uses this every day. And so he's kind of the main one we're stocking up for. And I've been encouraging him and just telling him, and I mean encouraging, I don't mean like, he knows, he understands. Cause like even just over the weekend, we had run out of soy milk, because that's the main one that we use to cream our coffee. And so he didn't have any soy milk, and then he started getting a headache, and he ended up running to Starbucks to get coffee so that he wouldn't end up with a migraine. And so that is basically exactly the kind of situation that made me decide to quit. Not the least of which being, you know, if we ended up in some situation, whatever, if we had to evacuate from our home or whatever, the idea of being addicted to caffeine in some situation, knowing how hard it is to get over, even though I had a much better time, and I discussed that in the video. This time I didn't end up with a single migraine this time, because I believe it was because I was drinking a lot of oat straw tea, and all of that, but still I dealt with fatigue like you would not believe. And so the idea of dealing with the after effects, or dealing with that withdrawal from caffeine in kind of a disaster situation, that is just awful to me. So I want to be able to be at my best in whatever situation. And so that was another reason that we quit caffeine. And I would highly encourage anybody else who's preparedness minded to do the same, because like I said, I had just like 1 teaspoon this morning, and it really helped me and it perked me up, and it's going to let me get through my day. But it's just 1 teaspoon of instant coffee just gives me such an effect, compared to, I used to have 2 tablespoons of coffee every single morning, and barely get through my day. And so anyway, I don't need to harp on that too much, but yeah, wheat and coffee, definitely trying to make sure that we have those things stocked up. Also, just again, if you get unaddicted to your caffeine, and you have a stash, that becomes, people always talk about bargaining, or bartering, and I'm honestly not 100% sure how I feel about the bartering situation in like a grid down type thing. I don't know that I'm gonna want to barter, because I don't think I'm gonna, I don't know, how would you do that safely? I still am not 100% sure. Like, does anybody have a good resource or video where somebody really talks about that? Because to me, I feel like that is a dangerous prospect. And for me personally, I'm not thinking about bartering at all. But if I were going to barter, thinking about caffeine withdrawal, something like instant coffee would probably be an amazing thing to barter with people, because they would be kind of desperate for that, I think. Anyway, moving on. So again, with the rising gas prices, another thing that's on my mind is, because I'm kind of like a consummate bargain shopper, and I shop very specific things at very specific places because I know where stuff is cheapest. For instance, I already mentioned my soy milk. So the cheapest soy milk that we can get, well, organic, is the organic silk unsweetened soy milk in a half gallon for $2.59 at Walmart. And that is the cheapest. The downside of that is that we have to go to Walmart, and that's like literally the only thing that I buy there anymore. And we're just not there very often. And then I usually can only get 2 or 3 at a time, because as just for my personal self, I don't like wiping out the stock. I like to leave at least 1 every time, just to make sure that whoever is looking for it can have at least 1. And so I maybe only get to have like 2 or 3 at a time when I go and buy it that way. The other downside is the fact that it is, it's not a shelf stable product. It needs to be refrigerated. And so whatever I get, I would need space to store in my fridge, which isn't always easy to come by, especially right now with my bargain shopping. I've got 25 bags of organic celery in my fridge. I'll show you in a second. It's like I just got a deal, but I'm going to try not to distract myself, but I'll go show you in a second. And so, yeah, there's that. So it's really difficult sometimes for me to have room in my fridge. So I like to have a shelf stable soy milk, even though it is not as cheap. So the next least expensive option is from Trader Joe's. It's $1.79 per quart of organic unsweetened soy milk. And that too, the problem is I can't really stock up on that. We have to actually go to Trader Joe's. Fortunately, there are a few other things that we purchase at Trader Joe's, so that shopping trip ends up feeling a little bit more worth it than the trip to Walmart. However, like I said, we just kind of I can't keep up with our soy milk needs on just like those few trips, and then having to drive multiple times to the store, especially at fuel costs the way they are. We're nearing $5 a gallon. In fact, just the other day I did see $4.99 a gallon for just unleaded regular at a local place, although most of them thankfully are still at about $4.70 in my area. I say thankfully because I'm going to be grateful, but that's still ridiculous. It's just not okay. But anyway, so I'm looking at, considering driving, now, not only am I looking at the cost of the item itself, I'm looking at the cost of the fuel that I expend driving to get the item. So unless I can work it into some sort of circuit, where I'm already driving somewhere, then I drive to another place and then I can drive home and kind of mitigate some of the fuel costs in that way. Sometimes it's just not even really a bargain to drive to get that bargain. So I do have, for instance, in my Azure cart this month, I've got 3 of the 12 packs of their unsweetened soy milk so that I can actually get a quantity. The thing is, it's 12 quarts for $32.41. And so that is definitely more than I'm currently spending on soy milk. And so I have to try, and I'm still thinking about this. I haven't decided 100% that this is what I'm doing, but I have to think about whether or not it is worth it to spend more to get more all at once and then keep me from having to go to the store. Or do I just switch over to the soy milk that's at Costco, but it's got sugar in it? It's like 9 grams of sugar per cup, and I hate that. I don't want extra sugar. So yeah, I'm still thinking about this. I'm still working through it myself, honestly. That combination of, am I saving money if I'm driving to get the thing? I mentioned my celery issue right now. So today I'm going to be focusing a lot on taking care of that celery, and I'm probably going to film a video about it too. So there is also a local place where we can get screaming deals on produce, but I have to drive really far to get those deals. And so I got 2 8-pound packs of organic strawberries, and each one of those was at $7.90 for 8 pounds of organic strawberries. And then a pack of 25 organic celeries for $15. So that was, pretty good deal. I still don't know 100% that it was worth the drive, because I didn't get as much as I normally get when I go get a big produce haul, but I don't know. So that's like moving forward. How are we going to work that out? I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, we're still working on it, and I'm going to be hopefully figuring it out pretty soon. But anyway, I guess if you have thoughts on that combo in the comments down below, let me know. So I think for right now, I'm going to be trying as much as possible to focus all of my shopping at Costco and at Azure Standard. And so already those are the 2 largest pieces of my grocery budget every month. And so I can hopefully just be driving to I'll drive to my drop and I'll drive to Costco. Hopefully not very often, and then looking again out at my garden, focusing on really focusing on growing a lot more of our produce this summer, even through the hot months. We've got plenty of things that we can grow even in the hot months here. I don't think I'm going to do, for instance, I don't think I'm going to do sweet potatoes. I have done sweet potatoes several times and I get a yield, but the problem with sweet potatoes is it uses up my beds for months. So we don't harvest until November or December, and that takes off September, October, November are the 3 beginning month, the huge beginning months of our main growing season here, through our kind of more mild months. And so I don't think I'm going to be doing that again this year. Sweet potatoes end up getting planted in I think it's July. around here, June, July, around here. And so I don't think I'm going to do that because I don't want to use up my garden space, but I'm going to be brainstorming exactly what I'm doing. And so for now, I'm thinking moving into the summer, I'm going to be growing a huge number of loofah vines. And this year, I'm going to look at how many I have on hand. Actually, I have one right here. This is from another year. And so this is actually sweet to me because I used this as a little rattle for Sage, and she used it too. So this is a loofah. It was just a very small one. And if I were to peel this off and then wash it out, I'd dump out 1 million seeds, and then this would be actually a loofah scrubber. When like years ago, I didn't realize that loofah was a plant. I thought it was one of like the sponges from the ocean. But it's not. Loofah is a plant. So it is absolutely a vegan option. You can grow it yourself as long as you have a warm enough climate. And it works very well. But I have probably like 10 of these on hand. But the cool thing about these too is that if you harvest them young and you don't let them dry on the vine like this, that apparently you can eat them like a squash, similar to zucchini or whatever. And because I don't have good luck with zucchini at all. Isn't that funny? Like a lot of people, zucchini is almost the only thing that they can grow, and it takes over their whole yard. But for me, I can't grow it. The squash bugs descend upon it, and I don't even know. It's like zucchini is the only thing that they love in the whole world. Actually, it's my zucchini is what they love. So I can't grow it. I've tried many years, and this year I'm just not going to grow at all. But my plan is to grow several loofah vines, and then hopefully harvesting these young, and hopefully they're good. I'm also going to try okra for the first time ever. I do like okra. I've eaten it and liked it, but I haven't ever grown it. My sister-in-law my brother-in-law, Adam's brother, and his wife are vegan. They've been vegan way longer than us. I'm going on about 5 years. And I think for them, it's well over 10 years at this point. They went vegan first long ago, but they're vegan too. So it's kind of fun. I like getting together with them because we don't have to think about the food, and I don't have to apologize at all, like even one time when I'm with them. It's just one of those things that I do. Because I understand it's difficult, and I understand that people they feel threatened. Sometimes they feel judged. When you say that you're vegan, they automatically assume that you're judging them, and that's not what I do. And so I always am cracking little jokes and trying to make people feel comfortable about the fact that I'm vegan whenever I'm around them and we're eating together. And kind of my main one that I say is, yes, I'm vegan, but I try not to be, what do I normally say? I try not to be, awful about it, but that's not how I say it. I say it in a funny way that makes people laugh every single time. And that's just kind of break that. I don't know. I don't want people uncomfortable around me. But it is kind of nice, to be around other vegans and then just to be able to just eat and not think about it and not worry about this person not liking your food and feeling bad anyway, it's just nice. So anyway, the reason I'm talking about her, thank you, ADHD. The reason I'm talking about her is because she gave me okra seeds. She sent them. They live in a colder climate, and it doesn't do well for them where they are. So she sent them to me. And so I'm going to be planting those this year, and then hopefully we get a nice giant return of okra. And so, yeah, I'm starting to kind of plan through the garden. So between shopping and growing, hopefully we'll end up with a lot. But yeah, this is a loofah. I love it. It's just sweet. This one's precious to me though, because of the fact that, like I said, I kind of used this little rattle for Sage, and she loved it. And so I saved this one. I know it's not going to last forever, but I save it. And so, also moving forward, dehydration, taking a lot of the food that I have in my freezer right now and reducing some of that freezer space so that I can fit more things that are not appropriate for dehydrating. Let me go, because we've been sitting here just in this one spot for a very long time. So those of you who are still here, let me go show you my fridge. Let me show you the situation in my fridge with the celery. And then we'll kind of talk a little bit about the dehydrator. All right, so this is actually the soy milk I'm talking about that I can get pretty cheap from Walmart. But here is the fridge. So I also, like I said, I got all those strawberries and this is what's left. And I'm also going to make a jam. The rest of it is in my dehydrator already. But we've got celery. So more strawberries. So it's kind of dire in here right now, and I've got to take care of some of this because I have like no room for food that I'm making right now. And so like it was just too much of a deal to pass up, and I want to dehydrate and possibly freeze, but I think mainly I'm going to be dehydrating the celery. And yeah, I'm definitely going to be taking you guys along that journey. So yeah, and the dehydration, hopefully, of that celery is going to go well. I'm going to need to blanch it before dehydrating. And so that is not something I'm super familiar with. And so I'm going to be learning how to do that. And so a lot of people will say, I know I'm going to get comments down below where people will say, oh, you don't have to blanch before you dehydrate. Like I dehydrate it and it turns out just fine. But what happens is over time, what you will see is if you don't dehydrate, or if you don't blanch, for instance, like your carrots, if you don't blanch those first and then you just dehydrate them, over time, people will say all they do is they just sort of lose their color over time, but they still taste fine. And that's true. So awesome. Like I don't think it's not a safety issue, the blanching thing. When it comes to dehydrating, at least for the most part, not considering things like animal foods and dairy and eggs, and none of those things are considered safe for dehydrating. And I'm not just saying that because I'm vegan. I'm saying like it's true. So being like a whole foods plant-based, like no oil vegan is so handy for dehydrating because you can take pretty much anything you make and then just throw it in the dehydrator and then you have an instant meal. So that's pretty great. But those things are not really considered safe. So it's not really a safety issue, not like canning. Like literally everything in canning is like, if you don't do this step, you could kill your whole family. So I am not like, I have all these jars of canned food up here and I'm still like, I'm just not comfortable with it. So I'm trying to get through it slowly. I don't think canning is what I'm going to keep doing moving forward. Maybe I've listened to too many people talking on the canning groups that I've been in, and too many warnings of everybody dying. And like, I have done safe canning practices and I'm still scared of all of my home canned goods. I'm being real with you right now. Like, I'm terrified of those things. So anyway, and I try to watch more like Three Rivers Homestead, that 1840s Homestead, I think is what that one is called. I really love that channel too. Like these people, they eat so many canned goods and they're still fine. And I try to remember that. And so I am slowly working through it and cooking it, but every time I cook it, I like boil the crap out of it before I feed it to my family because I'm still just like terrified of the pressure can stuff. The water bath can stuff I'm not so scared of because it's like acidic and it's like, you know, like botulism doesn't grow in that. And so that stuff I'm fine with. But anyway, I'm scared of the canning. So yeah, I feel like dehydration is just my thing. That's what I'm going to have going forward. I think it also makes the most sense, especially for where I live. We live in a very hot, dry climate. It's easy to do here. Even if I didn't have a dehydrator, you know, in the summer, it's 115 degrees outside. I could just dehydrate stuff outside, like at dehydrator temperatures, you know? So it's like, it's really handy for me. But anyway, I just want to show too, because this was a great reminder for me, even though I know this, like I've been dehydrating for a really long time and I know these things, but I also like, I'll know things and then just completely forget them all the time. That's just like, it's just insight into my brain. But anyway, this is a 4-pound bag of cauliflower from Costco. It was massive, 4 pounds of cauliflower. It was huge. And this is what it turns into. It's less than 3 cups in this jar. And let me turn this off really fast. And I think you'll actually see it better. Yes, you can. So that's what 4 pounds of cauliflower looks like dehydrated. And I was just like, oh yeah, I remember about the insane space savings of this. So that's another one of my focuses moving forward. I have huge amounts of like frozen broccoli and things in my freezer. And I think because again, I want to make room in my freezer to stock the things that kind of need to stay in the freezer. That will be batches of our frozen bananas, like our frozen blueberries and things like other things we use for our smoothies, and other like whatever little fun frozen goods I might get for our family here and there. But honestly, the bulk of our freezer right now is frozen produce. That's the main thing that we keep in our freezer. Just as an FYI, sometimes I have gotten questions like that. People have asked me before, because like we have a chest freezer, we have a big freezer in our nice big fridge we have there, and people's like what do you put in your freezer? Like people, because I guess people who mostly they stock their freezers with meat, they have no clue what a vegan would stock a freezer with, and that's what it is. It's mainly like frozen vegetables, produce. There are some bags I think of oats in there, like way at the bottom of the chest freezer from back when I used to freeze everything, before I learned that you don't really have to freeze it. You just have to put stuff in an oxygen-free environment, and then that will kill bugs. And so that helped me really be able to use my freezer space for food. But yeah, so much of the broccoli and stuff. And so I've decided I want to dehydrate a lot of that stuff moving forward. I'm going to have jars and jars and jars of dehydrated frozen broccoli. And so what I like to do, so like for this is actually for my friend. Well, she's like my son's friend, but she's kind of my friend by extension. I don't know if she's watching right now. Apparently she watches the channel. So, if you're watching, Sherry, I finally made your cauliflower. She's been wanting this for a long time. But what I do is I take the veggies and then I roast them in my oven. I fully cook them. And then I go ahead and dehydrate them. And once that happens, now you have something that you can put into an instant meal where you could just pour boiling water over top. And then when it rehydrates, it'll rehydrate as like a cooked vegetable. So you can technically take broccoli, just straight, like frozen broccoli straight from the bag, and put it into your dehydrator because all of the blanching has already been done. I just realized I never finished talking about the blanching thing. But anyway, the blanching has already been done. You can take it, you can dehydrate it, and it will last for forever and be wonderful with all of its nutrients intact. That is the point about the blanching. So people who say, oh, my carrots are fine for a long time, they taste good. It's not a safety issue, as I was saying before. Oh my gosh, you guys, thank you for being so patient with me. I'm sorry, I'm so distractible. But the point is that, for instance, in carrots, the orange is not just a pretty color. That is the beta carotene. That is the vitamin A. It's the vitamins. So much so we hear all of the time about the fact that colorful foods are colorful because of their vitamins. So if you dehydrate stuff without blanching, and I'm not sure exactly why, it's something about the cell walls, either they burst or they don't burst or something. Something about the blanching process helps fix the vitamins inside of certain foods. So like with berries and fruits and stuff, a lot of times you can just go ahead and dehydrate those without blanching. However, with certain veggies like carrots, like cauliflower and broccoli and all of that, they kind of need to be blanched first, and then they will maintain their color, aka their nutrition and their vitamins, over a long period of time. So it's not like I'm gonna should on everybody and tell you absolutely must blanch before you put your stuff up. But if you haven't blanched and you notice over time that the color has gone away, then a lot of the nutrients are gone too. So that's kind of the main thing with the blanching, is that it preserves the color and the nutrients. And so I don't know if you notice, this is I'm gonna turn this off again. This is multicolored cauliflower. So there's purple cauliflower and green cauliflower and yellow cauliflower and all of that in here. And so it's so chock full of nutrients with all those different colors. And so yeah, hopefully Sherry really likes these. So I roast them and salt them and then dehydrate them. So not only would these be good for instant meals, they're also super yummy snacks, but I'm not gonna eat any because these are not for me. These are for my friends. So anyway, there's that. But I will be roasting and dehydrating a bunch of veggies because, again, this was 4 pounds, which takes up a ton of room in the freezer, but then it ends up being less than 3 pounds in a jar. And so I will be doing that with the broccoli as well, trying to make more space and then just to store as much as possible, so that I'm hoping to, over the course of the next few months, get through all of the canned goods. And then if we haven't died of botulism, I will be filling that shelf back up instead with jars of dehydrated goods, because also it saves room. I've already mentioned the room, but that saves way more room than canning. And then also not only this dehydrated goods, but like dehydrated instant meals, dehydrated like full meals. I mean like stews and all kinds of things. And so that's actually what I put for this week. It's Monday, and I said this week, one of the things that I put is full dehydrators every day. This week, I'm going to be focusing on blasting those dehydrators and just filling my area with dehydrated foods moving forward, not only for space savings, but just, yeah, for things like again, if we lost power, whatever, all we'd have to do is boil water, pour water over those things, and then you have meals. I've done it many times before, and it works out very well. But yeah, I think sort of moving forward, all of us just sort of have to do the best that we can. For me personally, staying focused on just like one or two things, or kind of like the main things, is the thing that helps get me through. So I discussed in another video that I also heard that there's going to be a big citrus shortage, and I wanted to buy a whole bunch of orange juice. And then I had to sit back for a second and be like, but we don't even use orange juice in this house. I don't have to buy it just because there's a shortage if I don't use it, you know? And like I know that sounds overly simplistic, but like I have to kind of talk myself through these things. Sometimes I have to talk to myself like I'm a 3-year-old or something, and I have to like really like lay it out and untangle this snarl that gets in my head and just focus. And so really focusing on the things that we eat the most, and the things that we need the most. But like there's also certain other things. So here, actually, I'm going to show you my cart, my current Azure cart, which is not the permanent cart. And then I'm going to go ahead and just cut this off so I can show you kind of what I'm talking about. Okay, let's look. Okay, and I wish that I could do this in a cooler way, like show you a recorded screen, but I can't. I'm super low tech, so this is what we've got for now. But basically, like here, I have the 3 of these soy milks, but again, I'm not sure that I'm going to keep that. This is a very much like it's something that I do kind of all month. My cutoff is in 10 days, and I'm going to be changing this constantly as we move forward. But I have gotten some spelt flour, again, kind of looking into grains as we're moving forward. A thing of coconut milk, this is actually much more expensive, I believe, than it is at Costco, but I'm going to be verifying that. And so this is possibly, or probably honestly, not going to be in the haul, because I'm probably going to be getting my coconut milk at Costco. Bragg's liquid aminos, a full gallon, just to replace, because we do have some, but we're almost out. And this is a screaming deal compared to getting it by the quart in a store. Rice cakes, we love these rice cakes. I'm thinking about getting more than one of these, but they're just in the cart now because we just want to make sure that I don't forget to get them. Apple cider vinegar. So I have a few left. We've been going through it a lot more, especially now that I've been drinking it every day as a helpful tonic. And so I want to make sure that we have plenty of this on hand. It's normally about $10, I believe, for a full gallon. So this is obviously savings over that. And this is really, again, a screaming deal compared to buying it by the quart in the stores. What I want to point out, though, for stuff like this is, when you purchase things on Azure Standard, they package their things in the packaging that they sell. So I'm going to get this, and once we've gone through this, I'm going to have one of their food grade 5-gallon buckets like for free. So not only is this cheaper than purchasing it by the gallon, I'm also getting a bucket, which basically means that you could take like another $6 off of this cost. So that's really exciting to me. A 50-pound bag of the flour. And so like I said, I had wheat berries, but they're gone. Sesame seeds and minced garlic. These are because I'd like to start making our own everything bagel seasoning. And these are the only 2 things I don't own to be able to do that. Another bag of the laundry powder, just to keep stocked, and try to make sure that we always have that on hand. And then I'm getting another batch of these jars because I find myself just always running out of these jars. And so again, this might not happen. I might not actually get these things, but they're just in the cart because I've been thinking about getting more. 2 more 50-pound boxes of potatoes. Again, this might not happen. This is sort of what I'm thinking of, making sure that I have these on hand, thinking about cooking a whole bunch of them and dehydrating them this time around. And then a bag of steel cut oats. This, actually, for me personally, I believe that steel cut oats make the best oat milk. Far and away better than rolled oats. It still comes out a bit slimy, but it's still smoother. And so I want them on hand, but also because we do like steel cut oats. Adam in particular really likes steel cut oats and the texture. Some more pumpkin seeds, and then instant mashed potatoes. So this is something I've been wanting, instant mashed potatoes, since it was a 50-pound bag, but they have been out for, months and months and months. I can't tell you how many months I've put this in my cart, and it hasn't come, but then also how many months that they just haven't even had it. So last month they had it and it ran out. This month I'm just going for it again. This is another kind of forever food. It's super handy for thickening instant meals. So for instance, like tapioca starch or something would go bad before other ingredients in an instant meal, a lot of times dehydrated, but you could stick a few instant mashed potato flakes in that same meal, like say some sort of stew or something, and then when you rehydrate the meal, it'll be nice and thick because of the instant mashed potato flakes. And so that's kind of what I want, but also because it's an instant food, it's on hand. People ask a lot of times about dehydrating potatoes for instant mashed potatoes, and everything that I have read and seen says that is not a good idea, that it's better to just buy instant mashed potatoes. And so I want to have this on hand for us for whatever various things we may use it for. So there you have it. I'm sure I forgot some things of kind of like what is my focus moving forward, between, the financial concerns about summer coming up, with all of that in mind. And so kind of focusing on shopping in fewer places to save gas, focusing on dehydrating more, getting a lot more food put up, focusing on growing a lot more of my own food, and then just sort of hunkering down and trying to make the best of all of this, the craziness in the situation. So for instance, probably like another thing is, if the gas prices keep being the way that they are, my husband and I, we might need to switch vehicles. My car uses less gas than his giant truck, so he might start driving my car every day, instead of his truck. And yeah, so there's a lot of things going on. So anyway, hopefully that was helpful or gave you ideas. So definitely be looking for more content related to these focuses, especially dehydrating videos. I'm working on a strawberry dehydrating video as we speak, because the strawberries are dehydrating. We started that over the weekend, so I'm probably going to be finishing that up today. And yeah, look for more of that content, and just, hopefully this is encouraging and gives you ideas for how you can move forward and help your family. I think the basic, the most important thing, of course, is that we don't live in fear, and we just trust and prepare. And yeah, I think that's it. So as always, I hope the rest of your day is good and your life stays wonderful. Thank you so much for watching. See you guys later. Bye.